where we don't have the change-up besides, and I guess we don't get the change-up at all.
Yep. Oh my god, it's a Wukong.
Let's go.
Saw this
Let's go.
Lysandra? Oh my god.
Oh, it's a miracle. Woo! All right, so this is where things change, right? This is where things maybe adapt a little bit, but we already get the Sylas ban from V5 yet again.
Yeah, I mean, it has been the jungle. Like, this is the exact same. Like, you have the higher priority junglers that they're trying to lock out, like the Vi, because she does super well against Seri. You're going to get the Nocturne here for V5 as well. Like, we are just running this back. And I think now the question is, like, well, Zinzel at least banned means it'll open up a little bit, but now I'm curious to see exactly what... Oh,
Let's go! We got the Belveth!
So I was actually keeping my eyes on this because this is something that LvMao has been practicing a lot in solo queue. And now, okay, we're completely mixing this up. So Belveth comes through. We get the Akali that we're talking about for Doinb. I don't think it's the best of matchups into the Lysandra because Lysandra can lock you up quite well, which is the exact opposite of what the Akali wants. But Ala going back towards the Gnar means that we'll potentially get rich here. I don't mind the response of the Kennen. I think Kennen can do very well into the Gnar with the range advantage that he has, the ability to kind of get away from Gnar, but looks like he's going to try and play this more defensive style, like keeping people off of things like the Belveth and also the Sivir.
You know what really accentuates the objective control that we were talking about for V5? It's a Belveth. And I think it's so funny to see the adaptation quickly into Game 3 for V5, right? Like, LvMao had a pretty big smile on his face when they locked that one in for himself, but it's the confidence from the guy, right? From LvMao to come in here to pair up with Rookie and to have the say to go, let's go Belveth, focus on me, let's get these objectives down, let's make sure we have the momentum into this one. And for LNG, right, we got to look at the execution at this point. We have Doinb's Akali in the mid lane, a huge integral pick in the last series that they played, and he's going to have to pull out all the aces on this one. Ala also on his Gnar that we saw win them the game against BLG.
This is going to be a banger of a game. I'm so excited to see how all this is going to pan out. It feels like, at least for LvMao, a lot of CC that kind of sets up for the Belveth, which is going to be fantastic. Photic being able to fire across the back line. Like, it definitely feels like V5 once more have a lot of ways to deal with what LNG are bringing to the table. I mean, the ability to knock Tarzan out, Doinb locked up, Ala not quite able to get in position. There's going to be a lot of pressure on LNG here.
It's all the pressure in the world. Who will go up in this best of 5 first, at least in terms of V5 trying to make a comeback into the series? Again, winner here goes on to the double elim bracket of the LPL Summer Playoffs. They go on to face JDG, but all focus is on LNG versus V5. Doinb versus Rookie. Tarzan versus Belveth for LvMao, and it's going to be a bloodbath.
This is going to be fantastic. This is where I want to see how LNG are going to respond. For V5, I think the onus on them is still going to be a case of like playing towards these early objectives, especially when you have a Belveth who scales super well with the Rift Herald, like being able to have access to those extra little niggly guys that can deal a lot of damage.
The Void Remora.
It's going to be fantastic. Yeah.
So I will just say, the first time I've actually live gotten to cast Belveth. Obviously not a practice cast against Belveth, but I specifically am so excited that LvMao is the one that whips this one out first. We could get a little bit of level 1 shenaniganery here against Doinb, but I think we'll spot them out going into their side of the jungle. So love that V5 is being a little bit proactive here, trying to put up their advantage early on, at least in Vision game, and suppress Tarzan to some extent. They're getting collapsed on here, though, and you definitely don't want to be put behind in this kind of situation. But LNG just forcing their hand, getting a lot of that vision cleared at least, and V5, they don't want to give up the level 1 here. They feel confident in it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see, though, because there's a lot of poke. Doinb not quite able to get in here, so I think they will just back away here, yeah. There would have been a lot of damage that could have come across, so trying to be a bit of a pain, but not quite able to make it stick for the moment.
That's a little bit of a late start for both these junglers, but we'll see, obviously, coming into it later on. We get the 1v1 in the bottom lane. Light and LvMao had the advantage last time around, but V5, they're looking to take the advantage. This time, the exhaust used early again. And it's going to be a bit of damage traded back in. Tarzan's coming for a level 2 gank down here. And immediately, LvMao's like, okay, I'm coming down too. We're getting a 3v3, sub 3 minutes.
Yeah, but Photic is in trouble.
Oh, they find the angle there, but the flash comes out quickly from Photic.
Yeah, Light still has push here, and I'm not sure if Tarzan wants to completely leave his bot side alone, because you can see LvMao started off on his wolves, now moving back in towards this bot side. He could try and make something happen on this bot lane if he wants to.
All right, Dagda, let's talk a little bit about the Velvet here, because it could be a little bit of difference in style, at least for LvMao, but specifically, it's so much more heavily focused around the Void Coral that comes from the Epic monsters.
Yeah, I mean, being able to have the Void Remora come out when you're able to play specifically around the Rift Herald, that's what gives you so much extra power around your pushing power with the Rift Herald, because your true form lasts for significantly longer, 180 seconds, so 3 minutes on that, and every time a minion dies around you, you end up getting those Void Remora that help you push, so suddenly those waves are that you can try and push in with the Rift Herald become so much more deadly. And I mean, you've seen like very easily these like 2 towers fall off of just a single Rift Herald push when a Velvet's in the game.
It's the snowball potential that you could dream of, right? But it's all about execution in that factor. And V5 coming off a high execution game in game number 2, feel confident to pick that one up. But in all actuality, now you have to look at what Tarzan does to upend this, to try to get under the Velvet and find advantage his own right. So how do you do that against this oppressive, objective-focused jungler?
Well, in theory, you want to be able to have your lanes play towards you, but with Doinb again on this melee style champion, it can be a little bit more difficult to do so. LvMao, as you can see as well, also considering will actually just about manage to get it. But yeah, he can go pretty well against Tarzan in the early stages. You have to be careful.
You have to really be careful, and all it comes down to is really execution early on for LvMao, right? Using the Void Surge, using the Royal Maelstrom there to get that extra resist, get the damage down, and Tarzan has to be very keen on when to go in, when to go out of the fights against Velvet, especially in those 1v1 skirmishes.
Yeah, and it is going to be a case of trying to like disrupt her when she goes into that Void Surge, making sure that you can knock her up, get her out of that form, because she deals so much damage in that. And the fact as well, especially as you pick up like the Blade of the Rune King, the amount of healing that comes out from that is just insane. So definitely going to be trying to make sure that you can get that. LvMao has been playing the Blade of the Rune King some far ages build in solo queue, so I imagine you'll see a very similar style coming through here again. It definitely feels like the one that probably works best for her, especially in competitive, so we'll have to see now how this one pans out, because 5 minutes on the clock, Dragon is spawning, Rookie again having a lot of control over this mid lane, and Doinb won't be able to try and help out as effectively at these early objectives.
Now, I do want to talk about those early objectives a little bit more, because we were saying so heavily focused our V5 on objectives. They love to control the map. They love to get their advantage through that. We've seen that already in 2 games now, even in the first game that they lost. But in all actuality, right, the Void Coral doesn't come from the Dragons. It comes from the Void monsters. So looking at the Rift Heralds, do you think we see an adaptation where V5 are willing to kind of give this one, at least in terms of early Dragons, up? Or do you think we continue to see that Dragon focus?
I think they just go for the Dragon a little bit earlier, right? Like, if you look at the last game, they got both first Dragon and first Rift Herald, right? So I think there's still an opportunity to look for those plays. The only problem that you're seeing now is that Doinb has hit level 6. He can play a little bit more aggressive in this mid lane, and that's where Rookie will, until he hits 6 himself, have to keep himself in check. So doesn't have that same level of push right now that he would like to, and that could actually give the window here for Tarzan to try and make some play happen on bot side, maybe even look in towards the mid lane and see if they can get a lane advantage.
But I love to see the aggression here
God.
as well.
Wait a sec.
Just try to keep up on a Tarzan every time he sees him. There's the Royal Maelstrom, the healing or the shielding at least coming from LvMao. It's enough to get him over the wall, and that's a nice play. Now Doinb's trying to go in for the execution on XLB, and he does get a first blood for LNG. The collapse, the team play coming out clutch, but now Doinb is exhausted. He got the Frozen Tomb on him as well. Ultra Shock Laser buys them time, and LNG, they strike first.
Big mistake from LvMao, flashing in when you still had that shield there from LvMao, and ends up giving his life as a result. Now what could have been the first Dragon for V5 is actually an early kill going across to Doinb of all people as well on this Akali.
That is so integral, right? We didn't really get to see much of Doinb's success in game number 2, but in game 1, you better bet we did. So coming into this game 3, picking up the Akali, trying to have that carry pants performance himself, is a big moment. But again, LvMao just misplaying a little bit.
Yeah, I think just here could have probably got one more auto attack in before he went into that form, but you can see thought he'd be able to get the kill before they are able to get to the blast cone. And here I thought Rookie might actually just try and use the frozen tomb to keep LvMao safe. Maybe they get enough damage down to finish off Doinb, but just not quite able to finish off the Akali, and she gets the kill. So a bit of a disaster from V5 there.
It is indeed, but we'll see if they can kind of pull back into it if they go for that objective focus, right? Because we have Rift Herald coming up on the board in 10 seconds. Again, the coral coming from Void monsters does last longer, so you're definitely looking for that emphasis on the Void Coral, on that snowball potential for the Bel'Veth. I think LNG have done a good job of moving Tarzan around the map, keeping mid lane pretty stable, but as well as emphasizing on power points. Maybe I just cursed Doinb though, as he does have ppgod right next to him. He has the rest of Light and LvMao coming here though to try and support. And again, it's all in on this Rift Herald.
Yeah, Rookie doesn't have his ultimate though, and LNG will almost have all theirs available. Tarzan's still level 5 though, means you've got a bit of an advantage here for V5, but it looks like with too many members of LNG here, they will manage to get this first Rift Herald, keep it out of the hands of that Bel'Veth, but V5 looks like they'll respond on the bottom side and immediately move over towards Dragon.
I love that LvMao is just trying to look for avenues out, right, getting as much as he can. It looks like they will focus on this. Okay, no, they're finally pinging on. They were actually pinging down to try and steal some more jungle camps here from Tarzan, which I think is in all actuality is really good. You get to such a high clearing speed for the Bel'Veth. I'm very interested how they utilize that, but especially if they go for this early dragon stacking, as we're actually seeing Allah just manhandle Rich a little bit at the top lane on this Gnar.
Yeah, this is kind of unfortunately the way this matchup goes. You're more focused as Rich on those late game team fights, and that's kind of been the story of Rich, at least when V5 have looked their best, is Rich like playing Sejuani's, playing the tanks, making sure that he's able to set up more for V5 in the later stages. LvMao though will be spot on the dragon. Doinb does have one shot potential, so LvMao does need to be careful.
He does, and I mean, perfect execution is right there. He's going to use a crossbook Bel'Veth. He does not secure the dragon. And Tarzan is just coming up aces here. The rest of LNG, they are hovering around LvMao, and he can't get any entrance.
LvMao has had a couple of fumbles this game, and it's really starting to hurt V5 now. The flash forward initially gets him his first kill over towards Doinb. Now, not respecting the damage from the Akali, it means that he has to smite early on the objective, and Tarzan can steal it away. You'll see it here, right? LvMao actually does move away from the shuriken flip, but here, the knockup from Tarzan, then the early smite from LvMao. It's a bit of a mess from the V5 jungler, and suddenly this early control that we've been highlighting for V5 around objectives, saying how strong they were on these neutral objective control, is starting to teeter away very quickly.
And it's starting to feel a lot like game one for LNG, right? They had the big early advantage. They fumbled it to some extent. V5 were trying to find avenues back, but then it was objective control from LNG. They were constantly there to fight, to kind of prod V5 into position they felt where they were comfortable in. And I'm looking at that again and getting a little bit of deja vu, but the pieces for LNG are set up a lot more for success than we saw them in game two, right? That was a little bit of the run back game for both teams. And in all actuality, Doinb on the Akali, night and day compared to the Yone.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you managed to get this early kill just helps you out so much. And now as we start to lean over towards, you know, the likes of this Rift Herald charge that could potentially come through from Tarzan, I imagine he just tries to move this in towards the bottom side, right? Like, see if you can help out Light and LvMao. If you can get the Akali to help you out on the potential dive as well, that becomes so much more potent. The only issue, as you can see, though, is Photic and ppgod have hit, like, critical mass when it comes to wave clear, so you definitely need help if you want to try and get that in towards the bottom side. Otherwise, maybe we just see Tarzan and go, hey, look, Doinb, you know what? You're already strong. Let's just make sure you're really far ahead.
Yeah, because at that point, he can come to Tarzan, right? And I think that's what we saw a lot of success with in the Nocturne pick, because he was able to consistently move to Tarzan's side, or at least be the play caller in a lot of those moments, to pull the paranoia, to force, you know, the hand of E5. And in this one, yeah, he might be in a little bit of trouble. I think actually, yeah, LvMao is just waiting, buying some time here. Mega Gnar is there, so it does dissuade that re-engage. But he's stepping up, and LvMao stops his back for the second time in a row.
Yeah, really trying to see if they can bait Allah into this one. But
bottom lane. Photic, he goes down under tower. ppgod He's about to join him as well. Light survives by a skin of his teeth. And that is tower going down absolutely on this bottom lane. XLB just got his back off.
And that's exactly what we were talking about with Tarzan having this Rift Herald, moving Doinb down, getting the dive underneath the tower. Plates will go, the tower will go, and 4-0 V5 are being routed here.
It's a giant advantage early on, sub 13 minutes for LNG, but we got to look back at the play on bottom lane.
I mean, you can see it here. Photic completely caught out. They spot that Tarzan and Doinb are there, but no TP from top, no TP from mid. There's no response that can come through from Victory 5. And again, I mean, you can look at Ala. He's well aware that while this dive is going on bot, there's no way that LvMao is not on this top side of the map, so he keeps himself safe. And now, a nice 3,000 gold lead for LNG. Dragon in a minute and a half, and you already have, you know, big mythics being completed across on LNG's side. Like, this is now looking very much like LNG are going to keep themselves in the driver's seats.
So I know maybe you're not the biggest American football fan, Dagda, but bear with me here, all right? So,
hey,
you know, there's the QB, there's the defensive lineman, right? Or at least the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Right now, LvMao is the best offensive lineman I think I've ever seen. Like, if Light is not buying him a Rolls Royce at the end of the season for the amount of saves, the amount of big plays LvMao have had, it would be actually shocking to me. Doinb is a bit caught out in the side lane. He is a collie, though, so he's getting out.
Yeah, he'll be able to walk away until he goes back in. He's got help. And LvMao,
Oh my God.
the offensive linesman.
He's trying to get up there, but the QB's already in front of him. XLB will use the Royal Maelstrom, but he goes down quickly after, and Tarzan gets himself a third kill of the game.
Oh, this is not going well for V5. Again, they're trying to make these picks on side lanes ahead of things like this Dragon about to spawn, but it only means LvMao now goes to 0 and 3 on the Bel'Veth. This Bel'Veth pick not working out at all for Victory 5 right now.
And really, it's the uptick from LNG, right? Like, the pick itself is fine. It buys perfectly into what we've seen V5 have success with. But Tarzan, Doinb, they have not let up the pressure on LvMao, and that is so important when you're facing up against the Bel'Veth.
And that's what we were kind of looking at was how well Doinb and Tarzan have stepped up coming into playoffs. Like, when you look at their last two series, a 75% kill participation for Doinb. He has been so instrumental to this squad, and you can see it right now as well, right? Happy as Larry to continue chasing down all these members of V5, even opting back in with the shuriken flip at the end to set things up. Like, this is now just complete takeover for Doinb.
And just in the middle of that fight, you know, pulling out call-outs,
Yeah.
no big deal. Just easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And speaking of, Photic has to get out of the mid lane. Tarzan on it again. Rift Herald number 2 is up, and again, maybe V5 are able to contest this one, but at this point, with the lead that LNG have and the movement, at least around these lanes, it's really hard to see them finding it in.
Yeah, I think they might have a small window here where the Kraken Slayer is complete on Photic and not on Light, but Photic is sitting like sub 50 HP, which is not exactly where you want to be starting off this Rift Herald, but we'll have to see. Is Doinb trying to see if he can get in.
Allah is not here just yet, but he can come down after he's pushing that topside wave. This is so crucial for V5, but they realize they're on the cusp, right? Like, if they get smashed in this team fight, the game is just completely out of their hand. But if they can get the reset with the Void Core, they get the transformation for the first time in the game for XLB, and see if they can at least utilize it to put that pressure onto the towers and find a fight.
I mean, this is huge now, LvMao having this, especially if they can get in towards this mid lane, try and opt into taking that turret, open up the map for Rookie, get opportunities for Photic as well in these team fights. It could be massive, but we'll have to see now how they're going to be able to use this, because at the moment, it's just so difficult for V5 to try and control side lanes. Like, Rookie will lose out to Doinb with how big of an advantage Doinb's picked up in the early stages. Ala is continuing to see shoving in against Rich. Like, it's very hard for V5 to find access to the map.
It really is, and it's going to be even more difficult, right? Like, when you're looking with the Bel'Veth and you're using a Rift Herald, you're looking for way more than one tower, right? Like, you're not going to be satisfied if you just break one of these outer towers for the bounty. I want to look for some lasting damage in these plays, because, right, the next big Void Coral that comes up in terms of getting that extra duration is the Baron, and those fights are going to be so crucial, even if you're behind for V5.
Yeah, and I mean, 3 minutes until the cloud, not the end of the world if LNG want to try and give that over, but I think taking a very quick soul is going to help them out here. I mean, Doinb's already skyrocketing, as you say, like Light finishing that Immortal Shield bow. He's in a great spot. So it's just a case of trying to figure out like how you can try and keep this game in check here. And thus far, I mean, it has been pretty strong, right? It's just been I mean, it's a near perfect game apart from the Riptail going over to V5 at the end there. So again, like, play sides, see if you can keep up the pressure with Ala and Doinb. Stop V5 from getting things like these objective bounties, because when you look at the amount of gold that could very quickly come into their back pocket if they get one good fight or they get one good skirmish, that's the most terrifying thing here for LNG.
And also for V5, we got to look back at what they've kind of opted into so far in this series. It is the picks before objectives, trying to find Rookie's big frozen tombs to set the fight uneven. And we haven't really gotten that this time around. Rookie hasn't been able to find those big moments because obviously you're looking at a lot of the mobility that's coming out for LNG. Doinb on the Akali, he ain't going to be locked down very often. And I think especially with the way that the composition pans out, I want to focus on, you know, how do V5 find those picks before these objectives? How do they set up for success to try to put a little bit of a chip into this 4,000 gold lead that they have? God. I don't know if maybe it starts by trying to catch out Doinb, but he eliminates and executes Rookie. We'll see if LvMao can clean up the kill. He has the Royal Maelstrom, and there you go. V5 are on the board with their first kill of the game.
I'm going to at least extend this true form for LvMao a little bit longer. Might just be able to coax it out until it gets towards this dragon as well. But, I mean, again, you're seeing the problem that you have in these side lanes for V5. Rookie can't stand against Doinb. Ala is chipping away at this top tower, even having the demolish there as well. And now LvMao and ppgod trying to see if they can get another pick in their back pockets.
This would be huge. He has no idea this is coming, and there's the cask over top. Rich is in some trouble, though. Megadar comes out. Rich survives, though, with the help of ppgod. He's trying to go right back in. Ala, he's an unkillable beast, but he's trying to survive a little bit longer. He's got the TP coming in for Doinb as well. That's a big pain point for V5. They get the reset, but he doesn't pick up the Void Coral as the rest of LNG are coming in. Rich goes down to Light, and it's quickly going to be the Void Monster taken down as well. That'll be a kill for Doinb, and everyone's getting one this time around. Share the love, LNG.
And with 30 seconds until LvMao spawns, there will be no Rift Herald play. LNG kill V5's jungler, and now they'll be able to get the dragon. They'll get top tower. This is massive for LNG.
I think Photic died mid lane too.
Yeah, I mean, Tarzan just with the Cyclone picked him off. I mean, this is just everything going the way of LNG.
Oh, man, I got to get a replay of that one. We also, again, as you were saying earlier, the Dragon's on the table here for LNG. They have the momentum. We're going to start that bot lane play for Doinb.
Yeah, and you can see here, right, like, really good job from Doinb to get the Shuriken flip onto Rookie in the midst of all those creeps, but I mean, yes, LvMao gets the turnaround here, but you're getting damage onto the mid lane turret. You've then got this play from Rich, which nearly goes very poorly. Like, Ala barely manages to not end up picking up the kill here, but he ends up buying so much time that the resets come through from Doinb. He gets the TP back in. You get the AD carry support from LNG to run up to the top side, but we got to start looking at this dragon because actually LNG weren't able to pick that up prior to V5 getting back on the map.
Yeah, V5 putting up a contest right now as we think. I think we're going to see the rest of this. Now we get the mid lane play as well. And there you go, the setup for Tarzan. But we're right back into it, right in the setup for V5, who have actually found themselves in front of the objective and in pole position here. But LNG, they have the gold advantage. They have the lead, and V5 just really looking for the perfect setup.
Yeah, V5 want to see if they can catch LNG in choke points. They have a ton of AoE damage, AoE CC, and it gives things like Rich's cask a lot of power.
Tarzan steals it, and now they're going in. They want to take the momentum and shove it into V5's face. Doinb's over the side here. The final chapter was huge for ppgod, but Tarzan finds another Cyclone, and Rich is left out to dry.
LNG will not give V5 anything in this game. Gets the dragon, finds the fight, and honestly, they could early turn over towards Baron if they can pick off some members here of V5 off the back of this, but they will just be content with pushing in onto these turrets, getting at least one. Looks like they get a second with the Demolish proc here as well.
Again, look at this combo here between Tarzan and Doinb. They are so oppressive in this third game, and it's something we didn't get to see much of in game number 2, but we absolutely saw in game 1. We'll get a replay of Tarzan's steal here.
Great job from Tarzan, and gets in with the charge, able to smite it away. And then V5 just running for the hills. You can see they were considering in this choke point if they could maybe go for the fight, which is why you saw them kind of pause the retreat, but didn't act fast enough. And that moment of hesitation gave Tarzan and Doinb access to Rookie to finish him off.
And that access, the V5 are going to want to deny that at some point, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to, right? We're getting serious item completions coming across for LNG with the lead they have, right? 7,000 gold in the lead. They're about to get third items for multiple carries. The Maul has just now been completed for Tarzan, so a lot more tankiness, and the team fight setup is just already there for LNG, even if they still have some scaling to go.
I'm a bit worried for V5 in this one, because, I mean, we're talking about trying to get confidence in V5. Well, this is not looking confident at all. It's been a messy start. Maybe it'll continue to be so.
Yeah, I mean, the big performer, at least in game number 1, was Light. Game number 2, not too shabby, but they still lost it. But for me, the big up is Doinb on the Akali. We knew this pick was such a big piece to him just blowing open games as well. And we've gotten to see every single series he's been a part of. He's had picks that just force the enemy team's hand in so many ways. And now going into it, right, he is completely smashing this lane against Rookie. And it's going to beg some questions to V5 in terms of composition.
I mean, I just don't know what V5 are supposed to do here. Like, the early kill going across the Doinb, I mean, he's completely taken over. And this looks like a bit of a down and out one, because all that LNG really have to do is keep putting pressure onto this top side. If they can get vision over the topside jungle, they can always threaten Baron. You can see, again, side lanes firmly in LNG's favor. And as long as they don't ever overextend or, like, get caught out where they're desynced on these waves crashing, it should be relatively easy for them to continue to just keep getting these waves crashed in, put potential power onto these, or potential damage onto these towers, and then take over from there.
And I just want to zoom back out in this one because, right, we talked so much about this is a double elim potential match, right? Like they whoever wins here goes on to the double elim bracket in the LPL. But as well as looking back at a lot of the holistic storylines here, the miracle run from last year from LNG, they could move one step further, right, in the actual LPL playoffs here. And I think that's on the back of their minds, but as well as V5 with the catastrophe that has happened in the past for them and trying to start by getting Doinb off in the side lane. They were able to do it once before, but the perfect execution comes out. Now LNG, they are streaming forth. Photic comes in pretty hefty with the on the hunt. Rich catches out Ala. XLB just trying to get the resets here, but they don't get the kill just yet, and Light is firing away. He has all the AoE. Ala, he'll catch Photic, and that's a major damage source down. Light is just kiting them out, and Rookie, he has to get out, but it's a flash from Light. The exhaust comes through, the wild growth from LvMao, and Light is picking up where Doinb left off, and so are LNG.
V5 have no chance in this game. LNG collapse brilliantly once more. The Baron is in their eyes. A soul in 40 seconds. And V5 again left with their heads being scratched, going, what do we do?
It's almost impossible to find the answer to that without getting your hands dirty at this point. But that'll be Baron picked up for LNG. They have a reset potential. They could even, if they want to, pick up the Cloud Soul. But we got to look back at that fight and the attempted catch out onto Doinb.
And this is it, right? It's like Doinb does such a good job of dodging away from everything V5 are tossing at him. Like, doesn't get hit by the knockup from this Bel'Veth, manages to use the perfect execution to dodge away. And even here, when he ends up going in, like, look, he will end up just about able to get away with the shuriken flips. And then LNG are already in the perfect spot. Photic just on the edge of range of that Nara ultimate as well. Means that just V5, I mean, again, they just don't have the damage to try and carry these fights.
They just don't, and it's just good timings all around, right? Like, Light feeling confident because he is backed up by the rest of the team. Doinb not falling in that attempted catch out, TPing back to the play to put the hurt even more so onto V5. And with this Baron buff, they can just continue to push these side lanes, break these towers open, and try to work on inhibs.
And you're starting to see that a lot of these champions on V5 work well when you're even to a head, but it's not that position for them right now. LNG Baron up, pouncing on this bot lane turret, and I mean, Rich is trying to see if he can get anything back on the map, get some gold off of the objective bounties, but LNG are like, cool, well, we'll just take open your own whole base then.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get inhib in mid and bot. The super minions are going to be flooding in. Yes, they don't have to push in top side of the map, but this is lasting damage that'll make the, Elder Dragon fights, the next Baron coming up, a big ease for LNG to pick apart the decision making. And obviously bringing Rich back to try to defend, and now Photic having some more avenues for gold could be huge, but with this deficit, there's not much they can do, and LNG know that, and they're going to send home the game, send home game number 3 easy, as V5 are just melted before our eyes. Rookie buying a lot of time here, but he just gets executed. It's not the Penta. It's a denial from Allah and LNG. Look at Doinb at the bottom. He's so angry. He's like, man, you got to give that one. But it is a holistic game win from LNG, and they'll go up to match point.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the response from LNG to that Penta being stolen, but it puts a very firm mark on where this game is, where this series is right now. We were kind of saying, look, it's up to LNG to come back with a response. The Akali comes out from Doinb, the over-aggression with this Bel'Veth pick from LvMao, and it causes major issues then, because Doinb gets the ball rolling. LNG, great job of playing through their side lanes. They knew the strength that they had in this Akali, in Allah on this Nara as well, and they just never gave an opportunity for V5 to get access to the map. And 1 or 2 times V5 tried, but LNG were always there to answer. Tarzan
and Doinb giving LvMao the biggest of all headaches possible. I think, obviously saw the game plan coming out from V5. They were going to try to continue to hammer home the objective focus. They were denied the first Rift Herald. They were denied the transformation for LvMao until the second Rift Herald. And by then, right, LNG had a whole lead, right? They were working through Doinb, Tarzan. They were able to just pull off some of these crazy 1v1s, 1v2s. Doinb, especially that bottom lane play against Kali. That is just him saying, I'm going in. Let's hope everybody joins me eventually. And I think you're seeing the step up in play from LNG. That is what is so terrifying for V5, where there has been those memories of disappointment, those memories of failure, right, for V5. And you don't, for Rookie, for the rest of the team, they need to wipe that off their brain and come back into the series.
And that's what we got to see them do from game 1 to game 2. Now we just need to see them do it from game 3 to game 4. The issue, though, is that now you're out of luck here as V5. You don't get side selection anymore. This is now kind of up to the way that the playoffs work, is that if you are the higher seed, you get 3 choices of side select. So this is now done and dusted. So this will now start to swap back and forth between the teams as to who will have side selection. And when V5 haven't been able to find success on the sides that they have chosen, it's kind of looking pretty good for LNG off the back of this. There was just no answer across the board from V5. I don't think we'll see LvMao taking this Bel'Veth again into the next one, but this is a bit of a knock to the confidence now for V5. Again, 1 game away from being knocked out.
And that's the question mark for me, is the Bel'Veth pick. Was it where LvMao was like, guys, give me the Bel'Veth, I will carry this one, it doesn't work out for you? How did that change the mentality going to the next one? Or in all actuality, right, they just felt like that fit the style for them, and it didn't. Falling down to those early kills, right? The level 1 skirmish that we had for 45 seconds to start off the game, and it just felt like LNG were bought into those contests, were bought into those skirmishing, so now it's about that change up in the jungle for V5.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, is that that second skirmish that we saw where LvMao flashes forward to try and get the kill. I think if that hadn't been the play, if they'd backed away, they got Dragon, then you're in a better position to set up for Rift Herald, and suddenly this could be a very different game. LNG don't get the control from the mid lane that they want. They don't get the control for Allah. You're able to team fight better. That could have been the story of this game. But now we got to see what the next plan is for V5 going forward.
Indeed, we will. See if they can come back into this one, or if LNG make good on the better promise from the last Miracle run. We will see after we take a short little break. But after this, we have